the next session, we have Srimati Meenakashi Lekhi, lawyer and social activist, in conversation with Nandini Sengupta, journalist and author, on the formulation of India's foreign policy and landmark cases.
Good evening, everybody. We are very fortunate to have with us Meenakashi Lekhi ji at this lovely Pondicherry Literature Festival, edition 2025. And over the course of the next half hour or a little bit more, we are going to talk about all the things that is making the journalist in me totally excited. So, Meenakashi ji, welcome.
Thank you very much. And I should say she's trying to put me in the spot. The journalist in her. So I'll try and wriggle out of it.
So I'm going to start off with, I'm taking a cue from Anand, who's sitting right here. I'm going to start off asking you about the news that is setting Twitter on fire, which is that President Trump, US President Trump, has just announced that the H-1B visa fees have gone up from $1,000 to $100,000. So this is another, and there is, I was just discussing with you, there is incredible amount of online hate for Indians. The people saying, go back, don't come back, make sure that they get their flights back, etc., etc. So how do we negotiate this kind of a world order in which genuine merit is being treated like this?
So, my take would be that when and why do we expect places and countries other than India to be favorable to Indians and to be just to Indians? Those societies have never been just to us. It's just that right now that injustice is getting to be seen and that injustice is getting to be spoken about, or is getting exposed. So I look at it, sometimes few things happen in the world and in life when merit gets ignored and other aspects get highlighted. But is it for the good or for the bad? I always say things happen for the good. Because if they did not happen, people will not open their eyes and they will not see what is rotten in the system. So what is rotten in the system is getting to be seen, because end of the day, it was cheap labor by Indians which built the economy. Unfortunate part is that while it is cheap labor, but maybe in terms of sheer economic worth, that money was big money for Indians and they needed that money because they have been exploited over centuries, and the gold of India, or the stolen gold from India, made what America is today. So let that message sink in. And let Indians also understand, who have been taking pride in demonizing Indian aspects or Indian value system, get exposed. I mean, I'm okay with it. We'll all find our ways and we'll all find methods of our existence and method of dealing with it at individual level, at social level, at national level. There is a saying that water always finds its level. Let's flow with the time and let's flow like water and let's find our levels. And if it is stinking, let that stink be cleared up.
So, Meenakashi ji, I'm going to ask you, taking a cue from what you just said, is that the latest salvo from the US is the latest in a long line of stuff that has been happening for the last several months. As a financial journalist myself, I see the disruption that it has caused in certain parts of our industry, and that's not good news. So how do you think, I mean, India has a lot of people in, Western commentators are also talking about how India is playing this very, very calibrated tightrope walk. Can you talk a little bit about how we are negotiating this very, very turbulent time?
Wars are the times when most discoveries take place. Be it internet, be it aeroplanes, be it anything. So when people say invention happens due to necessity, I say wars bring the best in us or anywhere else. So let's look at it as an economic war. And in this war-like situation, where you're not physically fighting or battling, but definitely there's a lot of turmoil and there's a lot of chaos. But what is the other option? The other option is status quo, no change. While it's peaceful, but not necessarily just, and not necessarily correct, and not necessarily you're inventing or you're working or you're discovering. So status quo period is good for the ones who have things, but not necessarily from the socio-economic evolution point of view. When you go through the turmoil and you work hard and you are able to put your act together, then that is the time which will actually build your country. Maybe if we pull our acts together, we all come together as a nation, as people, as right-thinking individuals, then one day we may all be sitting and thanking Trump for what he has done. Seriously, I'm of that opinion. I genuinely feel that sometimes mirror needs to be shown and action needs to happen and right context need to be set, and which are so difficult many a times because we are all happy in status quo. We are all happy, live our lives peacefully, having a cup of coffee in the evening, getting up in the morning without difficulty, without challenge. Things are in order, things are settled. So we don't really progress at that time. But when suddenly, there's an earthquake, there is a pandemic and people are dying and wrong things are happening, you sort of gear up yourself and you're ready. So the normal adrenaline rush comes in, that flee or flight, most of us will fight. So that fighting spirit needs to be kept up. So I'm like, in a circle of life, in a circle of Brahmand, what comes up has to go down. There has to be a reason for it to go down. And for those who are down, there has to be a reason to go up. So maybe it's the cycle when we are going up and we will face all this and we will continue to go up, not because of, but in spite of these challenges.
Beautifully put. I want to ask you, of course, about how India's foreign policy has completely transformed in the last couple of years, from the Nehruvian Panchsheel mumbo jumbo to what we are doing today. We are speaking truth to Europe, for instance. Our participation in Quad, our participation in BRICS, and so on. So, how important is this tightrope walk in the new world order that is emerging?
So here I would like to give credit to the Prime Minister and how he's overseen many of the changes and challenges, because all that has happened in past decade is something similar things have happened in the past decade also. Similar situations the country has gone through, and in those similar situations the reactions have been very different, and those reactions were possibly I would not judge, because things happen at that point in time. Not everybody has the benefit of hindsight. Maybe we had the benefit of hindsight, and taking courageous stance becomes important, because you need to feel. It's not something which can be taught in schools or can be brought up in one way or the other. You need to feel that all this that I hold, especially the office or the chair I hold, is for my country, is for the well-being of my nation, and does foreign policy, according to me and many other people, is all about getting others to do as we desire, we expect of them, or getting them to say or speak the language we want to speak. So one way or the other, India first, or my country's interest first, needs to be verbalized and articulated. So while in the morning session, Anand and Mr. Puri said, when Anandji was here and Mr. Puri was saying that, look, we probably don't speak very well. we do not articulate all the work that we've done in past 10 years is something we as government and people have not articulated it well. So I would say, at least with PM being there, the articulation has been pretty complete when it comes to foreign affairs. The speaking has matched the action, and we verbalized it right also, and which is a great thing, because diplomacy is not about not speaking the right thing, but diplomacy is about getting others to do what you think is right, and that is diplomacy. So whether you sam dam dan bhed, whatever method you may use, the idea is to getting them to work in the interest of the country and see our perspective, where it is coming from. And I sometimes feel we missed many things. Probably the President Trump has not been briefed well on many aspects. So some policy decisions have come one way or the other. So the briefing by the people, the application of mind by the leader, the education behind a person's decision making are all very important aspects. Either you do it yourself or you have right people to help you do that. So I think there's a mismatch that is happening.
So, talking about our neighbors, you know, we are a kind of a little oasis of development and prosperity, surrounded by a lot of failed or at least troubled socio-economic units. I mean, Pakistan calls itself a dump truck anyway, you know, and calls India Mercedes. They are a terrorist-driven dump truck. Then we have, you know, trouble in Sri Lanka, economic troubles. We have political, economic troubles in Bangladesh. Now, more recently, some kind of uprising in Nepal. How does India, in the near future, navigate this neighborhood?
I think we have navigated, and we are navigating it well. Again, I think what is happening is it looks turmoil, it looks change, but not all change is for bad. Sometimes the changes are for good as well. The change is never, you know, smooth, I would say, or I would say the friction is very much part of the change. Frictionless change doesn't happen. So for action, reaction, inertia, otherwise it'll be an inert object which is not responding one way or the other. So whatever is happening, it may look very chaotic, but it's actually not chaotic. There is a method in this chaos. And that method is many places. People are seeing what India's stand is. Many places people are appreciative of where Indian ideas, ideology and methods come from. There are places where people are looking up to India because what many countries may have wanted are not able to articulate. In many ways, we are walking the tightrope that while we lose one market, we work upon other market, and we use this time to strengthen ourselves. So whenever in life or otherwise, it seems that you're taking a back seat, but you're really not taking a back seat, you're building on your strength. So, I mean, my friend is sitting here who's been teaching in school or college, several people. You have 2 months vacation. It looks you're on vacation. But are you really on vacation? You're not really on vacation, because all the things pending at that point in time, at home, office, work, medical work, workups, accounts, weddings, trousseau, kitchen, polishing, painting, all that work is getting done. So that is not a time when you are actually restful. That is a time when you are building for your future and coming 10 months. So I look at it, life pattern also the same way, that when it looks that in the life of a nation, when it looks, oh, you're going back or you're regressing and all, no. You may not be hogging the limelight, but that is the time to build on your strength and to build on, do the paint and the polish and scrub the floor. Because that scrubbing the floor will get you a metal track. And if you don't scrub the floor, you're not going to get the metal track. So while it may look there is chaos and there's things happening, but what happened in Nepal was completely different from what happened in Pakistan or what happened in Bangladesh. What is in Myanmar has been a long story of resistance. What has happened in, say, Maldives started on a different track but came around to understand what India can do or give and what others have done. What happened in Sri Lanka, it was going on a different track run by a family, like a family business. So people were up in arms against that. And suddenly the tracks which India was losing, those tracks came back to India. So what is looking chaotic is by and large truly not chaotic. It is setting a new system, and that setup of new system will always have a bit of, appearance of a friction when the new system is setting up. So, and so far as Pakistan and Bangladesh is concerned, I think they are behaving the way they are behaving is true to the nature of their existence, because those two countries came up in a reaction to Indian existence, which is an existence of cooperation. They came out in conflict to the cooperation. They came out as countries as against something. So their existence, contrary to that, is just not possible because they are doing what that grain is made of, and the grain is a grain of conflict. The grain is not a peaceful grain. So I think what appearance people got over the years, or at least tried to portray, that Pakistan can be peaceful or Bangladesh is a peaceful nation or things can happen. I'm sure there are a whole lot of Bangladeshis who are peaceful, whole lot of Bangladeshis who have been wronged in the past, because that's also their history. Why 71 happened, 72, all the challenges that happened. But the grain is grain of conflict, nevertheless. And if these people today can forget that by lakhs, thousands of women were raped by people from their own religion in the name of language, in the name of country, then thank you very much, you deserve what you get. Because if you can forget all the atrocities and you have the, what is this called? Which syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. So you are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. You're in love with terrorism. By all means, how can India save you then? We can only look after our interests, and will become more inert to your welfare, which concerned us at one time, because we still thought you are nevertheless our blood and our kith and kin, even if you've adopted to a different religion, but you continue to be my brothers and sisters. Alu is the Bengali herself, dressed in beautiful Bengali sari. Now this muslin which she's wearing is something we all take pride in. And whether it's from Bangladesh or it's from Paschim Bengal, it's one and the same for me. I feel the culture, the values, the textile, everything we've worked on for thousands of years, and we are one community. That's what I feel. But if you don't think I belong to you, or you belong to me, or I have any, or you don't agree with my idea of well-being and harmony, thank you very much. Live your own life. Do as you please. I can only help those who come and seek truth. Those who are happy or who do not believe in truth, like morning I said, Sat Chit Anand. So you have no consciousness. You have a different level of consciousness. Chit is not there. How will you seek the truth? And how can you get Anand out of it? You will not. I'll pursue my dream of Sat Chit Anand. Up to you.
So I'm going to come back to a little bit, one more question on foreign policy, and then we'll move on. India has been reinforcing its ties with the BRICS nations. Do you think that India's heightened engagement with all the BRICS powers and the fact that together the BRICS countries actually are by far the biggest economic bloc in the world today means that at some point it can come up with a currency that can replace the dollar?
So I was,
The US is scared of?
so I don't know what US is scared of, but if US is scared of, and you're going to push me to a corner, and you leave no option for me, I will do whatever suits me the best. You can only exercise your authority on me as long as you're my friend. But if you declare I'm not your friend, I'll do as I please, you do as you please. That's simple rule of engagement. Now, BRICS nation have been our neighbors. There are severe ups and downs, which we have seen in the past, except maybe Russia, where we have longest stable relationship most of the time span. Pre-medieval India also, we've had relationship with them. In fact, I had something in mind which never worked out, but I'm speaking from this podium today, from this stage today. Volga Ganga work that I intended to do, because there was a book many years ago which I ended up not buying, but I saw that book in Shimla, one of the old bookstores where they keep these archival material, which had numismatics, which had the coins from the earlier period, and which had so many statues of Krishna and Shiva and Vishnu, which were found in Volga. And that particular region today is a different Tartistan probably. Tartistan is the state within Russia, which is this part was found. So I wanted to work on this archival exchange as part of the culture and the external affairs thing. So with Russia, we've had even today there are some communities which follow Vedic rituals and things like that. Hare Krishna, they don't have a problem in saying that. Meditation and all, so very accepting. Even with China, we've shared long historical ties. It's only when they started denying religious existence, they started like CCP, like 1950s onwards, that things went whichever way. But the history could be rewritten, history could be rediscovered. We've had our share of pains also. Brazil, again, old Amazon civilization, you understand each other. It's not completely Western. It has a mix of Afro origin people to the Caucasians and all that. It's also a mixed heritage, mixed culture. The original inhabitants of Amazon. So somewhere we are linked and connected many ways to the region. And yes, in today's terms, it has about 55% of world GDP and economy. So BRICS having their own, method of barter, exchange, economy will definitely reduce the pain of being sanctioned all the time. It's like today, all of us, at least in this room, feel we are adults. And what does this mean, that we are adults? Means I'm capable of taking decision for my own good or bad, as you are capable of taking your own decision. So you have, this is what sovereign individual is, like you can make your own decision. And similarly, imagine we were all representing each nation. We are nation. And if we are nations, what is freedom for if you can't make your own decision and you have to always look up to someone to decide for you? Is that not subservience in true sense? So in true sense, if somebody can make you subservient because I make a decision for you and if you don't follow, I'll give you a stick. Does it work at national level? Whole lot of us may come from different educational background. Whole lot of us may come from different economic background. Whole lot of us may come from different social backgrounds. But does it mean that somebody's decision making is superior to somebody else's decision making? Answer is no. Each one has that sovereign ingredient in themselves to decide for themselves. While you can nudge people, like from a platform we can say, oh, this will work very well for this community to work on, say, water harvesting, because water is depleting and the underground water is finishing. Now, if with empirical data you can prove and people feel that yes, the person saying this is only doing this in our interest, you will follow. And sometimes still people don't follow. The point I'm making is, when you're dealing with nations, nations have their own sovereignty. And one has to learn to respect that sovereignty. And that sovereignty cannot be taken for a ride because you're rich, because you have the money. And I think India, and again India's foreign policy and ethos come to play, because we've been poor. We are still working upon our poverty and working very hard to remove that. We've been very rich also. We were Sone ki chidiya for nothing. We controlled the global GDP, 28, 32%, and coming down to 3%, 2%, and 18%. All this is human memory. We've seen it, we've done it, and we know we can go this way or that way. We are just treading the middle path right now. So on this, when we work, we understand that you have to be respectful to others. So when we were dealing with several other nations, say for example during COVID, we were giving away COVID vaccine, or we were making COVID available for the world without charging any money. We did not discriminate because you're a small country, you're a big country, your color is red, your hair is blue, or your skin color is this. No. Everybody is one vote, and everybody is sovereign, and everybody has a decision to make, and we are respectful. We never gave, whatever we gave, we never called it as aid or grant. We call it developmental assistance. In fact, not even assistance, developmental cooperation is under which we do all this. It is being, like at home also, your moms, my mom, our ancestors would have taught us that neki kar kuein mein dal. Like literally that you do good for your sake and don't ever mention it again. Don't even remind the person again. That is the ethos and values. So I think nowhere rich people do not get that class. The class comes from heritage, and that class comes from history. That class comes from training, and that class is what India has.
Glory has just shown that we have about 10 minutes left. So can I open the floor to questions?
Thank you, ma'am, for a very wonderful discussion. And, we feel very proud as Indians, even more so now. You put it very nicely when you said most big inventions and discoveries were during wars, and this is an economic war. So I get that. But will you also agree with me when I say that, and I have been saying that in several forums, that talking of Trump tariffs and other things, that President Trump's is an administration. US and India are two countries, nations, which are much larger than current administrations. After 3.5 years more. So this may not be the end of it. There is a certain continuity. I'll give you a small example and surround, then I'll take a response. In 2018, when US was threatening us with CARSA because we sort of did not listen to them when we bought the S-400 missile systems from Russia. Our 2+2 meeting then was put off twice. But then eventually in September 2018, it was held. What I'm trying to say is that perhaps there are saner voices that you alluded to, saner voices in a different context in different countries. But would you agree with that distinction that I am making? This Trump administration, I mean, even Modi administration for that matter, is, after all, this is limited in time. Nations are in perpetuity.
Thank you very much, General Dua, for helping me clarify what I intended to say. So what I intended to say was, look, from Indian perspective, our history is too long. And we have seen worse periods, and we have survived those worse periods. In General Saab's context, he's talking about 3.5 years. I will put it slightly differently. I'll say I should take 3.5 years as 35 years. And whatever I would do in 35 years, I should use this time, 3.5 years, to make those goals achievable. And no country will deal with me because they are fond of me as a country. On the contrary, the stronger I am, they have to deal with me. And they will learn to deal with me. And the stronger you become, the more challenges you are likely to face. Thus, I'm not going to look up to one country or one administration to solve my problems. I'm going to make myself so strong that they learn to deal with me. That's the point I'm making. So my dependence or my decision making is not by judging any individual or by judging any country, but lies in building my own strength. And I would say, fast forward, what you would do in 35 years, 3.5 years should be used to achieve that. So that, you know what happens, even in personal relationship, as long as you're friends, you leave things, you know. You say, oh, this one will do this. Not because you don't have the capacity to do it, but you let things be. Sometimes you give way, you know, you make other person feel important so many times in our relationship. But if there is no one, you got to do it, and you better do it. That's the point I'm making. So it's, even if it's 3.5 years, I'm not going to wait for this 3.5 years that one day my relationship with country X, Y, Z is going to improve and then they are going to come forward to help. Sorry, you help, you don't help. I'll continue to do what I do, and countries will converge on issues and diverge on issues, and that system will continue. And thus, I'm not really going to ask one way or the other any kind of reaction. I'll take it, okay, you know, like, especially in diplomacy or say foreign policy, there are no permanent friends. There are permanent interests. So when there are no permanent friends, permanent interests, which serves the best is what I need to work at. For how much time, I'll work on that for that time and work upon it. And good, if things improve, we both benefit. But if things improve, and they will improve not because somebody is fond of me, but because they are optionless. So I have to work and work so well that I make people optionless, except to deal with me.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, in recent times, soft power has become a buzzword. So, beyond yoga and beyond Bollywood, what do you think that India is taking? What kind of legal measures to protect its soft power from getting diluted internationally?
Oh, that's something I'm not really. I wish a lot more has to be done. And for that, it's not just government, but we as people, as individuals, in whatever capacity. So if you go anywhere and somebody says, oh, this particular thing is 400-year-old, 500-year-old, or this was done at such and such time. So beyond medieval period, there's not a thing which anybody can talk about. And I can say with a lot of confidence that everybody who's sitting in this hall, at home, will have things dating that time period. Oh, this shawl belongs to my Dadi, Pardadi, Parnani, this murti came from such and such temple, or would have had some kind of experience handling things of utensils, gods, murti, cloth, something, wooden chair or whatever, and trying to preserve that. Every household will have something dating back to, 300, 400, 200 years. Every household, 100 years, 50 years, most common. And so at individual levels, we need to preserve rather than destroy, and also tag it and leave it for humanity, not necessarily for personal heirloom. At the level of nation, I think first time in the history of India, post 1947 and 50s, for example, till 2014, only 13 objects of archaeological reverence were brought back to the country. 13, 1-3. In past 10 years, the number is 234 or 72. I'm not really remembering, but it's definitely close to 300. I think the total number is 310, so close to 290 plus is what we have brought back. That means there is a, Gauri has told us time is up, so we will wind up and close. So let me just complete this question's answer. I'll take a minute. So on that front we are working, but can I just suggest few things? Sometimes people do not know, even I would say ministries do not know what to do. People need to be little more vigilant, especially academics out of you who are traveling to those libraries and countries and museums. You need to pick up the bibliography, you need to pick up the books lined up, archival, archaeological materials, scriptures, inscription, and so on and so forth. Bring it to the notice or put it on, some public platform or something like, I saw this in this museum which belongs to this time period, etc., etc. There is no knowledge of that sort available, and even as Government of India, we need to document all this and start demanding it. The artifacts and all is still easy, but there is a very touchy subject, and that touchy subject comes from Northeast. All my brothers and sisters from Northeast, especially Nagas and Mizos and other, they have similar traditions. And one of the tradition was then if somebody dies, and they were like herders and food gatherers, and who will move from one place to other, even post independence. So if somebody dies as a head priest or head of the tribe or family, they would put that body in a wooden box kind of a thing, and that body will sort of dissolve itself, and certain remains are left. Those remains will be carried along with the group of people, the tribes, from one place to another, and will be kept at the outskirt as a protection to the village. All that also has been taken away, by the way. So if we can work at this, and I feel more than Kohinoor and artifacts, this is far more important for us to get, because this belongs to the people. This is not archival material. This is not anthropological specimen. This is somebody's ancestors. And I just imagine sometimes, maybe as a form of emotion or exaggeration, I don't know, but sometimes I imagine if this skull, which is kept in a box somewhere in a basement, was my great grandmother's or great grandfather's, what would be my reaction? Or what should be my reaction? This is not, human remains goes beyond archives. And as a right-thinking person, as individual, unknown, fine, but these are known pieces coming from certain, as late as 1932, 1936, as late as that. If I find a skull which is 4,000, 5,000 year old and I don't know who it is, I'll still say, oh, I must have come from this person. So be reverential, but test the DNA because we need to check the material. But something 1930s, 40s, you know which families they have come from, which tribes they have come from. We should seek return, right? Nobody is working on this. So I think a lot has, and inscriptions, you know, recently we are trying to do digitization. So a lot of work is going on. A lot of awareness has come. But I always say the enormity of work is such that it has taken a few thousand years for our ancestors to have worked upon this, and it has taken few hundred years for others to have taken it out from here. So it will take us also some time to retrieve and bring it back, and which will, and these are all official ones. The unofficial ones in private collections and things, we really do not know that amount and that detail itself. With these words, thank you very much.
Excuse me. I have a question. Thank you, Meenakshi ji. A pleasure.
I'll see you down, I'll see you here. We'll discuss because I think the next session is about to start. Thank you.